In the early hours of this July 6th morning, rescue teams worked non-stop among the rubble and residential buildings in the capital, Kyiv. Sirens were still sounding in some districts while firefighters and rescuers searched for survivors under damaged structures. This was the scene in Kyiv after one of the largest combined waves in months of missiles and drones launched by Russia against the Ukrainian capital since the start of the large-scale conflict. The attack began around 6 p.m. yesterday, Sunday, and continued through the night until the early hours of this morning. The Ukrainian Air Force tracked 419 aerial targets, 68 missiles of different types, and 351 attack and decoy drones. Russia used a precise combination of weapons, launching 6 hypersonic missiles, 3 M22 Zircon, also known as Onyx, in their anti-ship version, 20 anti-ship missiles, 23 Iskander-M ballistic missiles, and S-400 missiles reconfigured for ground attack, 33 Kh-101 cruise missiles, and 6 Kalibr cruise missiles. The Zircons were launched from the Kursk region, the Iskanders from Bryansk, Oryol, and Kursk, the Kh-101s from Vologda, and the Kalibr missiles from the Black Sea in the Novorossiysk region. Hundreds of drones, Shahed, Gerbera, Itamas, and parody-type decoys also came from multiple directions. The Ukrainian air defense responded intensely to part of the threat, but it wasn't enough. Despite that, they managed to destroy or neutralize a total of 363 targets, 37 missiles, and 326 drones. Among the missiles, 31 Kh-101 and all 6 Kalibr were shot down. The performance against drones was solid. However, none of the 29 ballistic weapons, including 6 Zircon hypersonic missiles, were intercepted. All of them hit their targets or nearby areas, impacting 34 locations in Kyiv and the region. Hypersonic ballistic missiles have trajectories that make interception extremely difficult without specific high-capacity systems, such as the American Patriot system. It was a barrage of hypersonic missiles. The Zircon missiles, for example, fly at hypersonic speeds for most of their trajectory, and the Iskander missiles follow a ballistic path with a very fast terminal phase. Without enough interceptor missiles for these types of threats, Ukrainian air defense is limited to trying to shoot down the slower and more predictable targets. The impact was concentrated mainly in Kyiv, although other regions were also hit. Hypersonic ballistic missiles heading hypersonic ballistic, by ballistic missiles heading to the location. Hypersonic flying towards the location, for example, location. Missiles heading hypersonic ballistic to the location. Hypersonic heading ballistic missiles, for example, flying to the location. Ballistic and hypersonic missiles heading to the location. Hypersonic ballistic missiles, for example, fly toward the location. For example, heading hypersonic missiles heading ballistic hypersonic, for example, flying towards the location. Ballistic missiles heading ballistic and ballistic hypersonic missiles. Hypersonic, for example, missiles flying towards the location. Ballistic, hypersonic, for example, heading missiles heading ballistic, hypersonic, for example, heading hypersonic, ballistic, hypersonic, for example, ballistic missiles heading to the location. Viewers become an exclusive member of the channel for only 7 rays per month. In the Rolozivsky district and in Obolonsky, fires hit warehouses and non-residential structures. In Vycherniv, in the Kyiv region, the direct impact caused active fires, and residents of nearby homes were evacuated due to the risk of secondary explosions. In the Kyiv region, the center of the attacks, especially in the Bucha district, private homes, businesses, and civil infrastructure were damaged. A civilian died and 15 people were injured, including a 9-month-old baby. Authorities reported a total of 11 dead and about 60 injured just in Kyiv, with additional numbers in the metropolitan area. In total, up to the moment this video is being published, 17 people have died. Search and rescue operations continued for hours, with more than 400 rescuers and police officers mobilized. President Volodymyr Zelensky described the attack as a massive Russian strike the previous night and confirmed the casualty numbers. He emphasized that Ukrainian forces achieved good results against drones and cruise missiles, but were unable to intercept the ballistic missiles. The main reason pointed out was the ongoing shortage of interceptor missiles suitable for this type of threat. Russia stated that the targets were military facilities, weapons factories, fuel and energy infrastructure in Kyiv and its surroundings. However, the images speak for themselves, showing significant damage to multi-story residential buildings, with fires and compromised structures in densely populated areas. This attack revealed an increasingly refined Russian tactic, the mass use of ballistic and hypersonic missiles in coordinated waves, combined with large numbers of cheaper drones and decoys. The drones and cruise missiles served to saturate the air defense system, forcing the use of cheaper or less advanced interceptors, while the ballistic and hypersonic ones are harder to shoot down. They are more likely to break through successfully. By prioritizing weapons that require specific Patriot missiles to be neutralized, Russia is directly exploiting the limitation of Ukraine's stockpiles of these high-performance interceptors. Ukrainian air defense is not completely inoperative. It remains effective against drones and many cruise missiles, but especially against the combination of Iskander ballistic missiles. When ballistic and hypersonic missiles are used in large numbers, the ability to provide protection is severely compromised when dedicated interceptor missiles are lacking. This is a structural vulnerability that has persisted for months, and that this attack has clearly exposed. Kyiv recorded more than 20 sites of direct impact or debris strikes. Cleanup operations and damage assessment continued throughout this morning. Kyiv's mayor, Vitaly Klitschko, reported the most serious situation in the Darnitsky and Pudilsky districts, with high-rise residential buildings being hit directly. Authorities declared mourning in the city with flags at half-mast and the cancellation of events. What this attack represents goes beyond the immediate numbers of casualties and material damage. It demonstrates that Russia still has the capability to launch complex, large-scale attack packages, even after years of conflict. And Ukraine lacks sufficient resources to deter these aerial threats. By focusing its efforts on ballistic and hypersonic missiles, Moscow is able to inflict significant damage on protected urban areas, exploiting the technical and logistical limitations of Ukraine's air defense. But to watch the full analysis video, do like our members and become an exclusive member here on the channel for just 7 rays and 99 cents a month. Leave your comment below with your analysis on how Ukraine can respond to this kind of large-scale ballistic threat now that its defenses have collapsed. Your perspective helps enrich the discussion. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos.